Hi there, everyone. Thanks very much for attending today's webinar, which is Payroll Year End in Sage Payroll 2024. I am expecting a few more delegates. There's still some people logging in as we speak, so I'm just going to go through a little bit of housekeeping and make sure everybody's on the right session before we continue, and hopefully that'll give a couple of minutes for the last few delegates to log in. So like I said, today's session is Payroll Year End in Sage Payroll 2024. And today's session is for native cloud software, otherwise known as Sage Business Cloud Payroll. So this isn't for Sage Payroll MicroPay. So if you double click on an icon on your desktop to access your payroll, then that is Sage Payroll MicroPay, which we're not covering off today. Whereas if you enter a web address into your web browser to access your payroll, that is Sage Business Cloud that we are going through today. So if you were expecting the desktop Sage Payroll MicroPay, please let us know in the chat. In your go-to sidebar, there's a Q&A panel. If you use that and let us know that you weren't expecting Sage Business Cloud Payroll, you were expecting Sage MicroPay, we'll give you a link to the correct webinar registration page. So as far as I can see, yeah, we have now pretty much got everyone in the meeting that I was expecting. So it's bang on, well, it's 1 minute past 11. So we'll make a start. Just to let you know, my name's Mark. I'm a member of the Learning Services team here at Sage, and I will be taking you through today's session. And today's session will last about 20-25 minutes total. I know that we've booked this for 45 minutes. That's just in case there's a lot of questions to go through that might be useful for the whole group to hear. But the session has been shortened because of all the alignment and modernization that's taken place in year-end payroll in our cloud software since 2019. So let's make a start. I just want to go through the housekeeping slide. So I've muted everyone's lines just to stop any background noise or interference that can sometimes happen in a group meeting scenario such as this. However, that doesn't mean that you can't interact or ask questions. Simply put those or submit them using the Q&A panel like I mentioned in your go-to webinar sidebar. And you'll also receive a link tomorrow with a recording of today's session. And also you might notice I've actually included a PDF, or there's two PDFs of today's slides. One has all the links actually available and live for you to use, and the other one has been downloaded using Grayscale so that you can actually print that off if you want to, so it's printer friendly. I've got one of my colleagues, Laura, helping me today, who will answer your questions, and I will check the Q&A section towards the end of today's session to make sure that everyone has been replied to. So let's go ahead and look at today's agenda. So today's agenda will look at how to complete your current tax year processing and prepare for your payroll year end, including an explanation of week 53 if you do have an extra pay period. We'll show you each step of the payroll year end process to ensure you complete this confidently and on time, and we'll help you get ready to process your first pay run of the new tax year and see what's new in 2025. So today's session includes a couple of videos that we've prepared to highlight areas of the software that we're looking at. We'll look at the first one of these now that shows preparing for your payroll year end.
Let's look at preparing for year-end and finalizing your 2024 payroll. Before completing your final pay period of 2024, you should process any current year leavers. This means any leavers with the current tax year leave date should have received their final pay and be processed as a leaver in Sage Payroll. You can mark an employee as a leaver in the Employee tab. Leaver information will be sent to ROS when you process their final pay and send your payroll submission. We have now completed 2024 leavers. Let's move on to extra pay periods. If you run a weekly, fortnightly, or 4-weekly payroll, you may have an extra pay period, also known as a week 53. You have an extra pay period if your regular pay date falls on Monday the 30th of December or Tuesday the 31st of December 2024. You should not create an extra pay period if your usual pay isn't the 30th or the 31st. Simply process your payroll as normal, continuing with your usual pay date. We have now completed extra pay periods. Let's move on to advancing holiday pay over year end. As year end falls over Christmas and New Year, it's likely that you'll have employees on holiday at this time. Whether you can use the advanced pay option or not will depend on when the holiday dates fall. You can use the advanced pay option if the advanced pay period covers any weeks up to and including week 52. For example, you are processing week 51 and advancing week 52. If you have a week 53, this should be processed separately and should not be included in an advanced holiday payment. You can't advance holiday pay over 2 tax years. For example, you can't process week 52 and advance the pay for week 1. However, if your employees are on holiday over this period and you'd like to pay them early, you can pay each holiday week separately without using the advance pay feature. If you choose to do this and you use PayPath or SEPA payment files, a payment file will be created for each week you've processed separately. Now you have learned about advancing holiday pay over year end, we'll move on to processing your final pay run of the year. Before running your year end, process your final pay of the tax year and submit this to ROS as usual. In Sage Payroll, you can check which pay runs have been completed in the Pay Runs tab. The most recent will appear at the top, and this should be the final pay run of the year. You can also check your next pay run in the Summary tab. Once you have completed all pay runs for 2024, we recommend running and reconciling your reports. First, we'd recommend running the ROS liability report, which shows a breakdown of liabilities to ROS for each reporting period. The report will run monthly or quarterly, depending on your ROS payment frequency. To run this report, click Pay Runs, then click on any pay run within the reporting tax month or quarter, and you'll see the liability report here. This can be reconciled against what you have paid to revenue. You can also reconcile this against the liability totals report, which is accessible via the reporting menu. This report will show the values for each individual pay period, whereas the ROS liability report shows you a cumulative value for the month or quarter. We have now completed the payroll year-end preparation checklist.
So to recap, you will have an extra pay period or week 53 if you run a weekly, 2-weekly or 4-weekly payroll and your regular pay date falls on Monday the 30th of December or Tuesday the 31st of December 2024. Please note you do need not do anything in Sage Payroll. Please process the pay period as normal, which will be calculated in line with revenue requirements. And I would like to point out that the extra 2 days shown on the slide doesn't mean you will only pay an extra 2 days, but you will have an extra pay period in the tax year, which has been caused by this year being a leap year. Just to give some extra clarification, you can easily see in your summary screen or in your pay calendar if you have a week 53, and you can view your pay calendar in settings, payday settings, and then view pay calendar. But again, it's important not to change your pay calendar manually in the system, as the software will automatically set the pay date, just as it does every other pay period of the tax year, and the software automatically follows revenue guidelines. Great, so now I'll take you through the two-step payroll year-end process, and I'll show you that live demonstration. So I'm just going to bring up my Sage Business Cloud Payroll now. Make sure that's being shared properly. Here we go. So running your payroll year-end in Sage Payroll is easy. So it's very much simplified through all the modernization that's taken place that I mentioned before. So from the top navigation bar to start the process, all you need to do is click on year end, because I'm in the payroll summary screen at the moment. Go to the top navigation, click year end. And before starting your year end steps, make sure that the tax year to report on is showing the correct year. So here's your drop down, and I'm choosing 2024. If you have any outstanding pay runs still left to process, you will see a warning if that's something you need to complete first. So let's just have a look what that looks like. If I go into 2025, which obviously I haven't completed yet, then yes, I've got a warning saying all of the tax year hasn't been completed in terms of pay runs. So I need to do that before looking at my payroll year end. So if I go back to 2024, that's been completed. And step one of the payroll year end is to review your employees' pay. And the purpose of this step is to check values and make any necessary corrections before the payroll year end is completed. So to get started, choose Review Employee Pay. And here now you'll see a list of all your employees paid in this tax year and their gross and net pay to date. To view a more detailed view of this information and the option to view their payslip for each pay period, all you need to do is choose the employee and click View Details. So here now you'll see a breakdown of the pay run that we're looking at, the pay itself, including gross pay, your taxes and social insurance, your deductions, your gross deductions and your net deductions, your final pay, and any additional information, including your employer PRSI and insurance weeks. So you can export this PDF, but before I do that, you can drill down even further by clicking on any of the payslip links next to the pay run in question. And if I click on the payslip, that will take me drill down right into the payslip in question, where you can see all of the payslip and the totals involved. And here, obviously, I've got the ability to download or to print. So like I was saying before, I can now export this to a PDF. If I click on Export to PDF, same as looking at the payslip, I've now got a PDF of the form in question. And again, at the top right, I can download or print. Just get rid of those two tabs. Great, so to return to the previous menu, all I need to do is click Employee List. Before I do that, you may notice this form has changed a bit, uh, changed about a week ago. It was multicolored and more difficult to read. It's got the same information in as before. We've just simplified it, brought it in line with the rest of the look and feel of Sage Business Cloud Payroll. So now if I click on Return to Employee List, once you've checked each employee and that you're happy that everyone has been paid correctly in 2024, I can click on Return to Year End and tick the checkbox to say the employee pay has been reviewed. And that confirms that this step is complete. So step 2 of the year end is the employee details statement. So this report can be given to your employees to reconcile against their official employee details summary provided by Revenue. So to proceed, click Print Employee Statement, and the report can be reviewed for individuals by clicking on the individual links against each employee line, or for everyone at once. So if we export all, you'll see here that there's actually 2 pages per employee, but you can see I've got all the employees on one report here. And I can, of course, at the top right, download or print, but it's an obvious thing to say. Obviously, you've got all of your employees here on one report, so don't email this to all of your employees. If you do want the individual statements, you can just click on the individual and then export to PDF. And it just brings up the individual statement. So the report will show the employee year-to-date values. And once you've exported or printed those, simply go back to your employee details statement and you can click on Return to Employee List. And then when you're happy, you can return to year end. Once you've completed both steps 1 and 2 within your year end tab, you have then completed your year end and you're ready to process in 2025. We make sure that I'm sharing the correct screen. So now let's look at what's new for 2024-2025. And I'm going to play a roundup of the new changes, and then I've got some more in-depth changes that I want to go through individually.
We'll now look at what's new for 2025. All changes to cut-off rates, tax credits, USC and any PRSI exemptions will be automatically applied in the programme on retrieval of the RPN from Revenue. In 2025, minimum wage will increase to €13.50 per hour for ages 20 and above. Other bands have increased in accordance with previous years. If required, amend payment rates within the Edit Pay section of Payroll to reflect this. In 2025, if your employee is in receipt of state contributory pension, an advisory message will appear on the pay run if the employee is not on Category J1 for PRSI. This is an advisory statement only. PRSI categories will not be changed automatically for you, as there are exemptions to this. Please check with ROS if you are unsure. If your digital certificate is due to expire, you can renew this with ROS. For more information, help and guidance, please visit www.revenue.ie and search for Renew Digital Certificate.
Great, so I just want to go through some individual items that are coming up. So on the slide, we can see that employees who were born on or after the 1st of January 1958 don't automatically change PRSI class at 66. Instead, their class changes when they turn 70 or they choose to draw down their state pension. And there is a new state pension contributory indicator on their revenue payroll notification, or RPN. Next, we have statutory sick pay. So paid statutory sick leave was due to increase to 7 days in 2025. However, as the Department of Social Protection has yet to confirm this increase, it has not yet been included in the software. But if the Minister or Department of Social Protection do confirm this, we will of course provide a software update that will automatically reflect this change. And this decision won't be confirmed now until the 1st of January 2025. And finally, in what's new, we've got auto-enrollment. So this is a new retirement savings system for employees that will be introduced on the 30th of September 2025. So employees who are aged between 23 and 60 and earn more than €20,000 per year and do not currently have a pension scheme will be automatically enrolled. So contributions will be phased in over 10 years, starting at 1.5% of gross pay and increasing to the maximum rate of 6%. So for every €3 that an employee contributes, the employer will also put in €3 and the state will top it up by a further €1. So please keep an eye on our help centre for legislation updates when we've got those, and upcoming webinars as well, which we'll have nearer the time. And you can also see the Gov link in your handout that's included on this slide. So now I just want to go through further support that's available to you during payroll year end. So I wanted to take this opportunity to draw your attention to the Help Centre in Sage Payroll, should you need further support, as well as being able to access keyword searches in our help articles or scroll down to use the support hubs. Please note you can always access the Help Centre when you're in Sage Payroll by clicking Help at the top right of your screen. Also, there's a dedicated support hub for payroll year end, and you can access this by going to sage.ie/PYE. And again, there are links in your handout, which I've included on this slide. So great, that's the presentation complete. So I'm now going to look at any questions that have come up today. So please use the question panel in the Go To sidebar if you haven't already done so. Like I said, just to let you know, I've also included 2 sets of slides for you today to download if you want to. One will have all the live links embedded for you to use, such as the Payroll Year End Hub, and the other is optimized for printing, should you wish to do so. So I'm going to see how my colleagues have been getting on answering questions. So I'm going to go on mute for a couple of minutes, and I'll come back with any questions that I feel are valuable. Yeah, so we do get questions about this time on auto enrolment. So we are yet to have the criteria confirmed and to start consultation with the relevant departments, governmental departments. So that hasn't commenced yet, but like I said in the presentation, please keep your eye on the Help Centre for any legislation updates, and we will cover off any updates and we'll have webinars nearer the time. So if you do wish to leave, thank you for joining today. I am keeping the session open for a couple more minutes to answer a few more questions. And just a reminder that you will receive a follow-up email tomorrow, which includes links to register for future webinars and also to watch recordings. But I am keeping the chat and question panel open for a few more minutes whilst we answer the remainder of today's questions. Great, so we've had some useful questions come through. So given that Christmas Day and New Year's Day are falling on Wednesday this year and the banks will be closed, would you normally run your payroll on a Wednesday? Can these pay runs, can you run them early, say Monday or Tuesday of those weeks? So the answer, yes, you can run your payroll and pay your employees earlier. The first step of your pay run is where you can select the date the employees are being paid. You need to simply change this to the correct date. However, you can only select dates that are in the same tax week as your usual pay date. And you can't use a date from the previous tax week or skip a week completely. Right, so just another couple of questions now. So it looks like you currently have to download each employee details statement one by one and email each employee manually separately. Is there a way to email in bulk, like payslips, for example? So the answer, you can view them individually or in bulk. Both options, you can save them to your computer. However, there's no option to email these from Sage Payroll, Business Cloud Payroll in bulk. We are going to feed that back for you, however, for next year. So the last couple of questions are being looked at separately for the correct information. And I'm going to keep the chat panel open for that whilst we answer the questions. However, I will stop the broadcast for now. So thanks very much for attending, everyone, and hopefully I'll speak to you again, and take care.